Hey, good morning, or evening, whatever it is for you watching. It's morning for me. I kind of have bagged on Postmates a little bit in my videos lately because I just feel like a lot of times it's not worth getting involved with because if you're not getting tipped, you don't really make any money. But I had a little bit of a good experience yesterday, helped kind of renew my faith, and the Postmates might not be too bad. I went and took a break from doing Uber and Lyft because it was like 5 in the afternoon and it was kind of dead. I wasn't getting any orders. So I went to go eat at a Garden Bar, which is one of my favorite spots in Portland to eat. And so I was sitting there, I just figured, oh, why don't I turn on my Postmates app and see if I get a Garden Bar order. You know, sometimes you get really lucky and you don't have to go anywhere and you just get your order. So I turned it on. And I didn't get that at a Garden Bar, but I ended up getting a Papa G's order, which Papa G's is like this really cool vegan organic deli, like really close to where I was. And so I figured, well, it's expensive food, it's vegan food, you know, people, you know, appreciate the good food they're getting, maybe they'll tip good. So I took the chance, I took the order, and I went and delivered it, and I ended up getting a $10 tip later on. It took a couple hours for them to tip, so I was kind of in suspense going, oh man, are these people going to even tip? And so that was cool. And then what I ended up doing was I left Postmates on after I delivered that order, and I got another order for a Fred Meyer pickup, like right down the road. And so, and I had already had Lyft turned on, Lyft and Uber were turned on. So I ended up getting, right after that Fred Meyer order came in, I ended up getting a Uber request. And so I said, oh yeah, I can just take this Uber request, because as far as the customer knows for Postmates, for Fred Meyer, if they're watching me, it just looks like I'm completing another order for Postmates, because most customers know that you know, if you stack an order, you got to go finish that order first, and then you'll go pick up their order. So that's all it looked like to them, was that I was just completing another Postmates order when I was really picking up an Uber request and dropping them off, which ended up so nice because the Uber drop-off was right next to where my Postmates pickup was at the Fred Meyer. And so, I mean, that just worked in perfect. It was just like an extra $4 for doing the Uber ride. It got me right to the Fred Meyer, and then I went in the Fred Meyer, and of course, you know, if you watch my other videos about collecting time on orders, I just kind of wandered around Fred Meyer, you know, kind of looking around. I actually did a little bit of my own shopping while I was there. And, you know, I had to find some specialty items for the customers. So I was kind of asking the customer service people where to find stuff. And I kind of just wandered around the store for a little bit, just killing some time because I was getting paid to be there. And it was Blitz pricing was on, so I ended up getting paid like $8 just for the order, for the Fred Meyer order. And I got a $3 tip on that one, even though it took forever and they didn't even have one of the items the lady wanted. So that was really cool. And I was able to stack in that Uber ride. And I picked up some good food at Papa G's while I was there. So, and then after that, I got one more request. I turned Uber and Lyft back on after I finished the Fred Meyer one. And they were just super dead. There was no ride request coming through. And another Postmates order came through for Burger King. And sometimes I try to avoid Burger King and McDonald's orders just because you generally don't get tipped that much. But honestly, with Postmates, you don't ever know where your good tips are going to come from. I've gotten 3 $20 tips doing Postmates. One was Sizzle Pie, which is like really expensive gourmet pizza. The other one was Jack in the Box, and the other one was Taco Bell. And so you just never know where your big tips are going to come from. And so I took the Burger King order, and actually I had to wait for this morning. The guy finally tipped this morning, probably because he woke up and wanted to place another Postmates order, and he was prompted to rate his last experience. That's how it kind of goes sometimes. When you get the tip the next day, it's like they wake up and Postmates won't let them place another order until they rate their last order. And so sometimes you'll get the morning after kind of guilt, like, oh yeah, I should probably tip that guy kind of thing. So that worked out really good. I ended up making $35 on those 3 Postmates deliveries. It was like 10 on one, 26 on the other, and like $9 on the other one. So that was really cool. And overall with that and the Uber ride, that's $40 that I made in just under 2 hours. And it was just because Uber and Lyft were dead So I turned on Postmates. You know, and that's the wonderful thing about having all these app-driven platforms at my disposal is like, if the money slows down, I can at least kick on Postmates and just keep money flowing. I mean, it might not be good. I might end up getting a couple of $4 orders that don't pay any kind of tip, which is really discouraging when that happens, but at least it's money coming in instead of just sitting there not making any money. And in the case of yesterday, it was great. You know, I was more selective, and that's with Postmates. It's great because if it's super busy with Postmates, you can just be really selective and only take the orders that you know are close by. They're easy to pick up. Like, that's why I took the Papa G's, because it's a deli, so they'll make the food really quickly. It only took me 10 minutes inside their deli, and I know the customer's going to tip because it's really high quality, good food, and people appreciate what they make there. So it worked out really well. I was able to stack in, and that's really cool that I figured that out, that you can stack Postmates with Uber and Lyft, because even if you get a Postmates order, you don't necessarily have to turn Uber and Lyft off. You can kind of head towards the Postmates order, and if you get a request for Uber or Lyft, you can go take it. The only problem would be that I see, the big contradiction could be that if you get a if you get an Uber or Lyft request that you pick up and it ends up being 20 miles away from where you're at, then you can't do the Postmates order and you have to reassign it. And if you end up getting too many reassignments, they can deactivate you. But you can always, with your reassignments, you can put technical difficulties and say, you know, my phone was having problems or something like that. And they're pretty lenient anyway. They don't really care too much about reassignments, it seems like. I've reassigned quite a few, and they don't give you too much of a hassle. It's just really not very nice to do to the customer if you can avoid it. So, you know, you can be careful with your stacking and just try to make sure it's something you can actually pull off. And yeah, so that was my experience with it yesterday. If you have any ideas or comments of ways that you've done stacking with the different apps, let me know. And it kind of renewed my faith in Postmates a little bit, because I've been kind of down on it and haven't had a lot of good experiences with Postmates lately. But that was a really good one, and it turned out really well. And that's it. Thank you so much. Have a good day.